Hello, I'm sitting on the stool. It's unnatural, I tell you. Good morning, everyone. How's it going? It is another fantastic weekend morning. Over here in New Zealand, sometime in your future, it is actually Sunday, 11 AM. Birds are chirping surprisingly quietly today. I think it's going to rain. And hi Kairos, hi Daniel, hey Loki, hey Fiona, the regulars. How's it going, guys? I should mention in New Zealand, guys is a gender neutral term. Yous fellas is also what we say. How's it going, yous fellas? All good. Hey Jacob. Jacob and Jacob, the Jacobs. Oh, 20 SF. Hi. Jalone Ewan, is that how it's pronounced? Moondog and Sinsu. How's it going, everybody? Top of the morning. Should be top of the morning actually, because I'm drinking an Irish coffee, as is my way. Oh yes, as you can see, I'm wearing some merch. This is my custom designed Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master shirt, representing, and there's also on the back the Mighty Glow Stick logo. Very comfy. This is one of the spreadshirt designs. There's also I've switched over to Teespring as my main one because they're integrated with YouTube now. So you should start seeing. I think there's a shop shelf or banner or something like that which will start appearing on my videos. That's intentional, and that is my merch. So yeah, and I've lowered the price on those items so they're much more within the price range of everybody for Christmas. So hopefully, like, the individual money that I get from those items is real small. So hopefully lots of people buy them. Otherwise, it's really just for everybody to enjoy. Coffee. What up? How's it living in the land of the Lord of the Rings? It's fantastic. What you see on film is what you get here. Apart from there's some scenes where there's like more mountains than we actually have. But they are real mountains that exist here that are montaged together. And New Zealand is a beautiful place. I live in the countryside around me. Looks exactly like the Shire, except there is an abundance of kiwi fruit, avocado, citrus, and all sorts of other stuff that grow around here. Just everything just bursts out of the ground on the Player Plenty. I'm living in a bountiful volcanic alluvial plain that has streams running down from the Kaimai Mountains, and it's called the Bay of Plenty for a reason. It's built in, the whiskey is built into the coffee. This is Irish cream, Robert Harris's Irish cream coffee, which I'm slightly addicted to. It's my tipple of choice. Otherwise I'd be drinking rum in my coffee, not whiskey. Whiskey is more to my liking. We may need to go early today. Why is that? It's a beautiful day. You're awake this time, Raven. Good. Hey, Raving Bean. Eldritch Defender. Mr. Epic Dwarf. Dwarf Rangers are the best Rangers. Yeah, I tend to agree that there are many best Rangers, actually. I would say, though, that humans are one of the classes which is best as a ranger, because they really benefit from those feat combinations, particularly early on in the class, from what I've seen. Tell us about familiars in 5th edition and some perks. Well, familiars annoy DMs everywhere. Yes, they tend to. That and pets. One of the things I got pointed out is that there was some errata that was added for the Beastmaster Ranger So there's official errata which has been added and updated. So that was something that I'm going to be covering in the second part of that Ranger video. But one of the things I wanted to talk about with Rangers, Chinese gooseberries, yeah, kiwi fruit, we stole them. One of the things I wanted to cover about the Rangers today is that if you've ever watched on Netflix at the moment, there's a like the first human, where did humans evolve from, and what do we do, and stuff. And some of the qualities of humans that is quite amazing, and we're very, very specialised in our design. Makes a lot of sense. Truly don't care what most will say. I'm playing a Knoll Ranger. Damn it. Okay, Jacob. Yep, fine. Do what you will. You prefer schnapps? Yeah. Oh, schnapps. Peach schnapps and orange juice is one of the best, like, wake you up in the morning drinks. If you haven't tried that, it's a hangover cure. Elf Rangers get lost 2 steps into a cave. Yeah, I mean, Dwarven Rangers, if you're spending a lot of your time dungeon delving, Dwarven Rangers are a good bet. That ability to survive in their chosen terrain, which would be the Underdark, which I think should include ruins, and also their underground abilities, like, yeah. Just finished an index card RPG game on Roll20. I think we annoyed the GM. We negotiated every encounter instead of fighting. Diplomacy. Yeah. Using intimidation also is highly effective. The group wants you to go for a walk. Oh, I'll probably still be here when you come back, Fiona. Any ideas of vids coming down the pike? Yep. So I'm working on the Troglodyte right now. And I've also got a Planescape faction video following straight on the heels of that one. I'll have those up in the next 2 days. Bang, bang, sort of following each other. You don't want to? It's good for you. The fresh air will do you good. Hey, Ranger Roy. Hill Dwarf Barbarian is crazy. Yeah, Hill Dwarves are great. Will I ever make a video on the Blade Singer subclass? Probably not. I've got a lot of canonical stuff to make. Wow, I got canonical out in one go. I've got a lot of canonical stuff to make, and homebrew classes and things like the Blood Seeker or Blood Hunter or what it is, Matt Mercer's one. Probably not going to do a video on that. But there's probably other videos that I could recommend that you watch for those. Yeah, absolutely. Dwarven Rangers can absolutely use their stone cutting to help them track stuff. Yep. Yeah, I would say that's not even up for interpretation. That's for sure. Yup tub. Well, hail Yup tub. Yup tub. So there's poster prints. You guys asked me for poster prints of Yup tub. They're available now. So you can buy a big glossy poster of Yup tub. You can even buy a quilt, a felt like throw rug quilt blanket of Yup tub if you so desire. There's also pillows, all sorts of stuff. One of the best ones I saw was the women's leggings of Yup tub. Look really good. The tentacles and stuff wrapping around one leg might be to some of your liking. It looks pretty cool. Oh, that's a good question, Jelone. Any advice on prosthetic limbs and stuff for 5th edition? There's a wide range of options available. You could make them purely mechanical, like clockwork or something like that, in which case I would say they basically match the stats of the character. If they're made for ordinary humans, then the stats are probably like if it would only affect if both arms or both legs or something like that were affected, in which case you'd probably drop the stat down to a maximum of 10 for if you're using your arms for strength or something like that, then your prosthetic limb is probably not built to be super strong like your average adventurer. Dexterity and things like that. I would come up with some sort of on-the-fly method for working out how much it costs to buy stat points for your prosthetic limbs, and definitely dangle the idea that yeah, there's stockings too. Yeah, Definitely work out a method for giving that character an incentive to upgrade their prosthetic, so the prosthetic becomes something they're obsessed with. Yeah, the leggings look pretty cool. And there's, you know, all the regular stuff. Yeah, prosthetic limbs with built-in arcane focus. Anything that you could build onto a Warforged, you could definitely put into a prosthetic limb for a character. Sure. When you're a skeleton, every limb is prosthetic. That's true. Yeah, they're effectively power armor for an unclean spirit. You're a fan of having a variety of non-magical inventions spread through the world and having magic variants, and then having magic variants. Any ideas? Yeah, I like the idea of having major artifacts, such as Deck of Many Things, and then there's lesser magical items which are emulating the artifacts. My friend Ian and I, who was on the other live stream the other day, the world that we're playing, Sithrune, has got some really cool aspects of that as well. That there's only a limited number of artifacts from the ancient world. No more of them are being built because the technology has fallen. It's kind of a broken world, and the replicas of those are imperfect. So there's always something of a drawback to using one of the magical items, which is just a mundane sort of one. The Hand of Mechna. Nice. Yeah, live streaming, the baby's asleep. Woot woot. Nice one, Dracos. Random D100 roll and I got a 67. Okay. What's that in relation to? That'll be a moderate score. That'll be an average result, I'd imagine. I actually do have some. If anybody wants to roll a 4 10-sided dice, I could give you a result from the random magical effects net Librum. Be happy to do so during the live stream. Also, just a reminder, this is a monetized super chat. I'll extend the live stream by a minute for every dollar donated. If that is your, if you want to. It's getting pretty close to Christmas. Better watch the budget, everybody. You're playing a Tabaxi Gloomstalker and loving it. Yeah, that sounds like a good combo. I really love the Tabaxi as player characters. I absolutely love Tabaxi. I'm a cat person myself anyway, so Tabaxi's, yeah, I understand Tabaxi. Oh, she's been fighting her sleep for an hour. Nice. Oh, we've got a roll already. 297. Right back in the beginning. Back to the beginning. The line of our people. 297. Before each spell, caster must blaspheme some god of chaos. So before you cast your next spell, you must blaspheme a god of chaos. Can anybody give me a god of chaos for Forgotten Realms? Who's a chaos god for Forgotten Realms? Hey, Jacob, thank you. Got work to get back to, but since I'm newer to this game, was born in the 90s, didn't start till 14, I really wanted to ask, is it frowned upon act for players to ask for bigger good monsters for help? No, absolutely not. In fact, I would encourage that. In my games, I quite often have dragons, particularly metallic dragons, who will show up, and they're kind of arrogant, and they look down on player characters quite a bit because, I mean, they're just very superior and snooty anyway. And particularly silver dragons have got a life of their own. They go away for hundreds of years on their own business, and dragons do things in their own time. They have a society of their own that's much older than the society of the younger civilized races, and they're still very actively involved in it. But they do things at a slow pace because dragons quite often go to ground for a long period of time, like 100 years, where a dragon is not seen. But other dragons are keeping a wary eye out for notorious dragons who will wake up and then get up to their old tricks, sort of thing. And in that time, whole villages and things could have sprung up, and the dragons will just arrive out of nowhere from the villager's point of view and say, look, you're in a contested area, you're in a battleground, beware, move on, and things like that. And so they may get into conflict with good dragons, silver dragons, brass dragons, who show up with the best of intentions saying, get out of this area, you're going to get destroyed. And they're like, you and what army? And it's like, me and that red dragon over there, which we're going to fight, we're going to throw down in 3 days' time. So yeah, player characters who ask the dragons for help, sometimes the dragons will say, I'll need your help too. So you can involve them in all sorts of schemes of larger folk where suddenly they feel like the minions, because they are. Got another result, 1, 2, 3, 6. One, 2, 3, 6. Cannot find a thing today. Caster is rumoured to drink orc's blood by the quart. Hey Epic Dwarf, thank you very much. Since you provide great content that helps me kill my players, least I can do is buy you a coffee. Cheers. I'll drink to that. I find I've been emulating the dwarf from Hearthstone quite a bit. Nice to see you. No, I haven't yet seen that, Ian Butler. I'm looking forward to Jeremy of the Quarterings webcast about that very topic, which I was going to watch this morning before I jumped on stream. Timora can be a bit chaotic. Yeah, that's true. And like Umberlee, Gods of the Sea, they could be pretty chaotic. There's Blibdoolpoolp, who is the essence of a chaos god in D&D. Blibdoolpoolp has played a large part in some of my campaigns where chaos was definitely a factor. Hey, Timmy 2. Deep Dragons in Disguise would be your choice, yep. That number was 1, 2... I have to scroll back up. 1, 2, 3, 6. Oh yeah, you can be heroes and enlist the help of others for sure. You don't have to go it alone. It's a long time until you start acting in charge of the landscape, and there are bigger and badder foes around. It's just that they tend to be involved in their own thing. One of the other subjects that I wanted to cover today was evolution of humanoids. And this was one of the comments on Rangers was what our historical precedent for where Rangers came from. And somebody was talking about the US Army Rangers and Europeans arriving in America and stuff, a very American-centric point of view. But Rangers have been around for a very long time in every single culture because Rangers are what humanoids do. Rangers are the expression of what the natural behavior of a humanoid is, if you just take their natural behavior and project it. So what humans evolved doing was, at the time, the climate in Africa and things involved a change of, it got very dry and very hot. The plains evolved quite a lot. Grasses and things encouraged the evolution of large herbivorous monsters. I suppose some of them were monstrous. And humans evolved from the various species of primates which stood up and started running after prey. And chasing down prey became such a focus for us that we evolved sweat glands. So human beings, our skin is completely different to other primates. You may notice that it's a lot more like blubber because the fat is right up next to the skin to support the sweat glands and things like that. So the skin is a very, very important organ in humans. I would say it's one of our defining organs. You don't often think of the skin as an organ, but when you compare it to any other primate, we sweat. And that allows us to exert ourselves for long periods of time. There's an example of there's at least one human documented who can just run forever. His metabolism is such that as long as he's ingesting food on a regular basis, he can run and run and run and run and essentially never stop. And humans can chase down any creature on Earth, because they just can't sweat and cool off the way that humans can. When we start running, we become a very efficient heat exchanging machine. And what we do, even before we developed bows and arrows and spears, we're chipping rocks, and we could carry a rock easily in our hand that was chipped off in the corner, that was essentially a knife and also a throwing tool. So what humans did is they would just slowly jog after marathon runs, just like a regular pace, and humans can run from the age of basically from the point where a human running has to put down their child. That's when children can run, and we can run up until we're old old and grey, which is amazing. And so what they would do is they would chase down this animal, just run after it, and then it tries to rest, and it can't, and it's panting because it's trying to exchange heat from its mouth. It can't do it because we're chasing after it, so it has to run again, and it runs again, it runs again. And while it's running, it's like its organs are getting pushed up against its lungs, and and it stops, and it tries to rest for a minute, and then the humans are on it again. So it's got to run, and it's got to run, and eventually they just go, I've got to lie down, I can't even think straight. And it sits down, and the humans go smack, 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 and it's out. And then when it's safely subdued, they run in, and they use that sharp rock to skin it and kill it and butcher it right there. And then they run back to whoever's left behind, but usually everybody will be following up behind. You just sneezed and closed YouTube. Hey Al, thank you very much. Been listening for over a year, and your videos help me give me inspiration through tedious plumbing work. Have a cup of coffee, buddy. Thank you very much. Well, you'll enjoy the 45-minute long that video. I actually did a word count on the script for that Ranger video, and not counting the bit that I was reading directly from the updated Unearthed Arcana article, that was 6,300 words or so. It was 11 pages of script that covered 45 minutes. That was 2 days' work. Literally skipping rocks, yeah. So Rangers they run. And in the early editions of, like, the reason why Aragorn was called Strider, and the hobbits were struggling to keep pace with him as he just cut straight across the countryside. So the early edition of D&D, the original Ranger class, they were known as runners, striders, scouts, wayfarers, pathfinders, nature wardens, and then Ranger knights. So they were knights errant. So they worked for the realm, sort of thing, and then they became lords of the realm. So they built up reputation by just being omnipresent, by showing up. And what they do is they run after prey, and then they hit it with arrows. And that's what humans did. We eventually ran down prey, and we hit them with rocks, and then we developed spears, stuck them with spears, and then we developed bows, and so that we didn't have to run as close to creatures which could have gored us and been dangerous. Yeah, Rangers absolutely on horseback. So domestication of horses and dogs and things really just assisted in our natural hunting behavior. Dogs in particular, they see humans running and they're like, wow, those things can run like we do. They hunt the same way we do. And so humans and wolves back in the beginning were pretty similar to each other, really. Yeah, the original 5th edition Ranger that you find in the Player's Handbook, the Beastmaster Ranger is particularly weak. The Hunter Ranger, not so bad, actually. It really depends on, like, if you combine your feats and things like that, you can make quite a powerful build for even a low-level Ranger. So I'd say the Hunter Ranger, no problem there, but the Beastmaster Ranger, it's really all focused on your animal companion. The animal companion isn't that useful compared to other things. They tend to die, and what happens is you've got a low-powered backseat character with too much influence split between the two. So it kind of divides the progression of the character quite a bit. So they've done a lot to try and fix the Beastmaster, and my opinion is, don't try and fix the Beastmaster. Don't be a Beastmaster. Use something else. I mean, you certainly can, but yeah, they're trying to create They tried to create Drist, right? They tried to create a Guinevere character, a Guinevere companion, and it didn't work because that's not what Ranger's focus was, really. Overpowered 5th edition classes. Yeah, paladins, warlocks, maybe. Warlocks can be pretty powerful. Anybody who's had to deal with like Witch Bolt and Fireball and things like that will cry foul. But, you know, nothing's as balanced, as ridiculously balanced as 4th edition was. So we can't have it both ways. Some classes just shine better at lower levels, some shine at higher levels. At higher levels, nothing really beats a wizard. Wizards just kick 7 shades of ass. Yeah, the beast takes too much of the action economy. That's it, Ranger. Absolutely. Hey, DML Gaming. Greenside, nice to see you. Mr. L. Don, nice to see you. Long time viewer, first time to catch you live. Great work. Watched the Ranger video earlier, one of the favourite classes. Great job. Keep up the good work. Hello from Ohio. And if you're in Japan, that also means good morning. Ohio. Halfling paladin dog rider that rides a Kuhi, elven hound dog. Oh yeah, nice. Yeah, that's a good combo. One of the best classes for playing a cavalier, for instance, would be a halfling dog combo, because you can go dungeon exploring with a dog. So you can get the benefits and advantages of mounted combat and using a lance whilst on a dog. You may see in my centaur video, I mentioned the halfling lance. It's as long as a halfling lance. The bow and the arrows of centaurs are as long as a halfling lance. Yeah, you always feel bad for animal companions. Yeah, absolutely. Druids and rangers are particularly hard on animals that are in their service. They just send them off to die on a regular basis. Amy Falcone, who plays a druid in Acquisitions Incorporated, killed animals on a regular basis until she started basically becoming animals on a regular basis. Ever thought of a machine or construct deity? That would be Gond. Gond is a very good example of a construct deity. Although he's a gnomish deity himself, doesn't necessarily mean he is a gnome. Yeah, and Moradin, of course. Moradin the Maker. So it would be quite reasonable for a Warforged, for instance, to worship Moradin or Gond, and Moradin and Gond would welcome them into the fold. Wizards should be the only class. That is the exact opposite view of Gary Gygax. Gary Gygax was pretty hard on wizards. Hey, old Joshua. How does a halfling weapon deal the same damage as a human-sized weapon? Well, first of all, you've got to realize that halflings and gnomes have a different category of strength. They may be the size of a toddler, but they're hellaciously stronger compared to, they're very, very strong. Like if a halfling or a gnome gets hold of you, it's hard to break out of their grip. Very much like if you were dealing with a troglodyte, a chimpanzee. Chimpanzees are much stronger than human beings one-on-one. That's just the way it goes. We sacrificed a lot of our strength to grow our brains. In fact, growing our brains was kind of an evolutionary bottleneck for humans, but it's a necessary one. I think you'll all agree. Carsus with a K, what he should have done with all that power. What should he have done with all that power? Just read some quick read D&D book where the druid had a dire wolverine and it had its place until it sacrificed itself by tangling with an abyssal child and melted with acid. Yeah, it happens all too often. So, praise be the Omnissiah. We must appease the machine spirits. Hey, yeah, yo. Thanks, Fiona. Have fun with your walk, Fiona. Your phone needs charging. Oh no. Outside without your phone. Whatever shall we do? Fear the halfling grappler. Yeah, halfling wrestlers. Lucha Libre. Absolutely. Yeah, they're plucky. So so these small folk, the halflings and the gnomes, they can throw down, you know. They have comparable strength. Without big brains and small muscles, there'd be no D&D. That's true. Hail Google. See you later, Grant. Nice to see you. So yeah, the things there were a lot of restrictions in the older editions of D&D. So if you watch the video on the Rangers, and right at the very start I talk about how restrictive it was to play a Ranger. Like, you had to be a lawful character class. I mean, a lawful alignment. You had to be an aesthetic. You had to give away your wealth. If you acquired more than you could carry on you, you had to give it to charity. Otherwise you would lose all of your class benefits and just be a fighter. You couldn't hire anybody. You had to do everything yourself. You couldn't associate with more than one other ranger, otherwise you'd lose your class benefits. You know, it was very hard. There was it was like Grognard was built into the game. It's like, nope, this is the way you play a ranger. That's it. If you don't want to play it that way, then you can't be a ranger. That was the attitude, and it was accepted. These days, of course, it's wide open. We have no idea how free and easy we have it in Dungeons & Dragons compared to what it was. You could say that druids are very good at interacting with wild animals. Their neutralism and mutual understanding of the needs of animals do some crazy things. Yeah, they're in tune with nature, very much so. And animals, of course, are used to the rangers and druids being around. Rangers, not so much. Rangers, they recognise the ranger as a ranger danger. Ranger danger is the theme of this live stream, by the way. Rangers are dangerous. For instance, if you were a member of a militia or something like that, what would your attitude towards the Rangers be? Rangers fit perfectly into the archetype, particularly with the conclaves. Ranger conclaves fit perfectly into the idea of things like the Harpers of Forgotten Realms. Dark Sun Halflings, yeah. Also, well, how do Dark Sun Halflings compare to Eberron Halflings? That's pretty cool also. We worship Yubtub here, not Google. Well, Yubtub is a part of Google. Google is the domain of Yubtub. Google is one of the prisons of Carceri. Let's just make our own law. An Orc Ranger, yep. Yeah, first edition Bard progression was a nightmare. The Bards, Duelists, Assassins were extremely weak at low level. I remember my buddy Max had an assassin called Glint Nightshade, and he had 1 hit point, I believe, at first level. 1 hit point. He got killed by me accidentally hitting him with a halberd, just from a fumbled attack roll. And he had a medallion, which was the gold piece that he earned for killing his first person. His character ended up becoming a wizard and ruling an entire island in Greyhawk. Legolas spect into elf. He lost his paladin's powers because he was taking part in a drinking contest. Yeah. Like, if you, in the old days, if you became bitten by a lycanthrope and gained lycanthropy disease, you lost all your cleric powers and lost all your paladin powers immediately. You're like, what? Why? You don't know. Can I do a quest for my god to get my powers back? You can try. Goes on a quest. Did it work? Nope. Aragorn from Lord of the Rings, yeah. Aragorn, son of Arathor. Goblin Ranger, favourite enemy rats, and animal companion would be an alley cat. Who'd be looked over because he keeps the sewers cleaned out. Yeah, quite possibly. Gaggle equals Google. Yeah, he'd be like the unclean, you know. Kicked aside. Texas Ranger. You have problems understanding the prime material planes. Are there different planets like Toril, Athix, etc.? Are they on the same material plane but different parts of the universe? So it depends. The default idea is that the planes of existence, the prime material plane, there can be multiple prime material planes, like different dimensions. So you could say that they have parallel dimensions, which is the Shadowfell and the Feywild. And the prime material plane is split up into these solar systems, which are enclosed in spheres, which are floating in a phlogiston sea. So it's like a misty, what 4th edition sort of thought of as the astral plane almost. So these great big gigantic spheres which contain the solar systems of these different worlds are orbiting around and floating around in this great big phlogiston sea, and it was constructed that way by who knows what long before the gods. And each sphere is different, so you can go traversing between them by teleporting from place to place, or you can just sail there in a spelljamming ship. As for the Earth and things like that, because it's connected with, it's connected to Forgotten Realms canonically, so that raises another question of like, well, if the Earth isn't in a sphere, what is it? But of course, that's where things sort of break down. Hey, Ian, nice to see you. I'm thinking of playing an Urban Ranger for my Ravnica games. Any thoughts? Yeah, absolutely. I think we definitely need an official Urban Ranger, for sure. In the meantime, I would say use the Underdark as their favoured terrain and have that include the urban environment. But definitely homebrew your own urban stuff, or just find some homebrew out there for an Urban Ranger's favoured terrain. But otherwise, not a lot of changes need to be made. Obviously, they would have a focus on investigation and things like that. Your baby sleeps like a game of 20 minutes power nap, then it's up. No problem. Yeah, reality is always screwing up. Yeah, D&D Multiverse is extremely complicated. It can be. You can get around it multiple ways, which is how we sort of we trade off. But it is fictional, so these conversations can get pretty deep and involved, but at the end of the day, you don't have to explain everything. And a lot of this stuff, the player characters don't need to experience. You can just make it up for every campaign that you're doing. Power Ranger class, well, that would be an Artificer Ranger, perhaps. A Ranger that specializes in, like if you have a cross-class Ranger Rogue, and the Rogue aspect of it is using magical devices, then you've essentially got a Power Ranger. So they use powers, they use magical powers, they use magical artifacts to enhance themselves. And when you think about the Ranger's natural focus in their spellcasting, a lot of their spellcasting is personal enhancement. So a Ranger really is like a superhero. They use their spells kind of like I would use my spells if I had access to druidic magic. I would definitely enhance myself to like walk on water and do that sort of stuff, because that's all cool. And Rangers do that. They can see in the dark, they can track through terrain, they can locate objects mystically, and that's always been a part of it. The Rangers have always had the ability to hook up with divination and clairvoyance and things like that, so they develop their psychic powers. Five different versions of every single thing, yeah. That's true. Wouldn't a Power Ranger class just be a Kensai monk? Monk and Ranger are kind of superfluous. If you combine them together, you're kind of doubling down on a lot of different abilities. But it's a good combo. Yeah, Horizon Walkers are very much interdimensional super cops. Absolutely. Yeah, if you want a bounty hunter like a Boba Fett character, Boba Fett, Horizon Walker's your best bet. A Horizon Walker that combines with like a Ranger, Paladin, something like that. Then you've got essentially a, or say a Sorcerer, Ranger, Horizon Walker. You've got a Jedi. Does that mean a halfling and gnome have a harder time swimming because the muscle to body mass? No. Like babies can swim. Essentially, all they have to do is inhale, and they can swim. Perhaps it would be more of an active swimming than a human. Humans have an easier time being buoyant. But that's like saying that bodybuilders must jump into a pool and just instantly sink to the bottom because their muscle mass is too high. It's just not the case. Bodybuilders can swim just like anybody else. Gonna go an Arcane Archer with a hand crossbow Dex Fighter. Good combo. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. Yeah, exactly. Things that don't add up in D&D. We're talking about how the prime material universe can be explained in several ways, and how Earth doesn't add up if you're following the Spelljammer sphere model, for instance. Other things that don't add up is, where's the primate versions of halflings? Where's the primate versions of elves? Where's the primate versions of orcs? Do they have common ancestors, or were they just divinely created? In which case, if humans were divinely created, why do you have primitive versions of humans? Why do you have apes and things like that? Did the gods create the apes separately in D&D? Why do they exist? Things that make you go, about D&D. Like, a lot of things in D&D don't add up. They just don't. They don't add up from a biological perspective, from a biome perspective, from a super predator's perspective. So sometimes you just got to go, it just is. Things that don't add up in D&D, they go, mutation. Yeah, mutation might be an answer. Yeah, bodybuilders can swim, but they usually don't float. So it's more of an active swimming in regards to gnomes and halflings. But they can still swim. What are sea rangers? Pirates? Yeah, true. I mean, a pirate and a privateer are separate things. I mean, a pirate with an official writ from a king to act on their behalf, they're not a pirate anymore. Pirates just act independently. Dragons couldn't fly without magic. Yeah, neither can bumblebees. Bumblebees don't make aerodynamic sense either, yet they fly. Yeah, humans were created, but by who? In 4th edition D&D and Narath, for instance, it would be the one that was a dead god. 2 types of divine creation could be possible: 0 point creation or mind uplift. Perhaps we were uplifted. Yeah. Could be. Yeah, Bissed, I would say that's true too, that there's a lot of, like particularly in Forgotten Realms, there are alien orcs. So the orcs of the Grey, the Spine of the World Mountains, those are the original orcs of D&D in that world. And then the other orcs from particularly Thar and the Shah and the plains and from the east, those are alien orcs that came from another dimension. That there was a portal opened up, an Orc Gate, and the Orc Gate worlds in Thay ported over a whole population of orcs from another world. So 2 orcs on Faerun may be completely different from each other. and may recognize the fact that they're alien species and not associate together or fight against each other. Bumblebee dragons. There is actually another type of dragon. I think it was in the Tome of Horrors, or was it the Creature Codex? There's a like an insect dragon. Shadow Orcs. Yeah, the Orc-Gate Wars were really cool. In one of the homebrew worlds, the halflings were created by ancient lizardman empires. They came from human stock and were selectively bred as food source. Harsh. Hey, Ruben. Good to see it. Yeah, buoyancy is, some part of it is body fat, but body fat doesn't, yeah. They do carry a bit of a gut, that's true. Dragons have some sort of gravity magic. Well, they're part biological and they're part elemental. So dragons are draconic. They're not reptiles. They're not saurians. They're not mammals. They're closer to like genasi and things. Also, dragonborn. Dragonborn are hot to the touch almost, and they're elemental in nature. So they can go without food for a while and just live on their internal elemental fires. But of course, what effect does that have on their personality if you're just living off the elemental cold or acid or something inside you? Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, maybe that's just an error in Earth's PHB. That'll be sorted out in the errata. Yeah. Oh, there actually is a sphere. Turns out we've got an invisible sphere. They made an experiment on a porous sphere. We are still flying through a sphere, through the universe in a sphere. Be hilarious. All of a sudden, Voyager just stops. It's like, why did it just stop? It just crashed into something. What, the stars? Apparently, it's just a big sphere. You were playing Rifts once and you ate halfling ribs on a half plate. Yeah, Rifts, brutal. Oh, you're a Grackltooth. Well, that makes sense. Black dragon, hold my beer. Yeah. A fire salamander is a dragon? Is it? Is it draconic? No. It's elemental. All things that are elemental are not draconic, and vice versa. Good evening, rabbit in glasses. An orc and an orc walk into a bar. 5 minutes later, bar's on fire. Bar's on fire and full of axes. Zug zug. What if all of reality is a giant D&D session? Well, there's quite a few people who believe that it's a holographic universe, that we're just modeling something. And when you think about it, if reality was a computer program and we were designed to calculate something, role players create whole other universes and model things inside our heads, so we're holograms projecting holograms. So really, we may be the entire point. To the point where we could be the ones that create our own holographic universes. When the technology becomes sufficiently advanced, wouldn't that be exactly what we do? Very Matrixy. Yeah, we're getting too meta. I was just thinking that. What is the stoner live stream? But that's one of the subjects of the live stream is evolution of the universe. Yeah, you're really the only one here. That's true. you're just imagining all of this. Sub-creation. Yeah, I suppose so. See you later, Jacob. Yeah, if it is a holographic universe, then somebody rolled my stats weirdly. I mean, what was I designed to do, honestly? What even is my class? Any thoughts on running a green dragon? I've checked out your lore video, but found that there's a lot of information on running dragon. There's not a lot of information on running dragons outside of reds. Well, green dragons are very narcissistic and would make terrible player characters. Unless you're playing solo, in which case, yeah. Inception, yeah, pretty much. Hey, Roderick. Gabriel. So, if you're... unless you're talking about just running dragons as the DM. Is that what you're talking about? Like as monsters? So dragons are very manipulative, and green dragons hoard influence. They hoard control. So they like controlling things around them. So if you've ever seen a cat playing with a bird or something, that's what green dragons do. Their only interest in other living creatures is as playthings and manipulating them to do things and get them things. Green dragons would be quite happy to just sit around and have everyone pamper them. Everyone be completely under their control. Black dragons, kind of the same except even more extreme. Everybody under their control, but everything annoys them and eventually gets killed. So black dragons are weakened by their aggression. Green dragons are strong because they control everything, but again, they treat them like playthings. Blue dragons control everything around them and are more powerful for it. So blue dragons are quite formidable. They're like mafia bosses. So they'll let things do things for them. They recognize they kind of stand back a little bit and let things do things for them. Because if they don't, the blue dragon will kill them. Yeah, green dragons are very narcissistic. Yeah, so they would collect shiny things just to look at themselves. Yep, mirrors, things like that. For sure. Remember, they're a forest dragon. So they surround themselves with trees and plants and things like that. So, but they are also toxic to the environment as well. So they'll poison streams and things like that. So it becomes very hard for other things to live. A chariot pulled by two direwolves. Yeah, quite possible. Don't forget, dwarves also ride goats. Giant goats. An elder brain having a dream. Yeah, Azathoth. It's turtles all the way down. Basis the theory that holograms, we can't tell we're holograms. Yeah. Turtles and turtles and turtles. Dire boars. Yep. Yeah, blue dragons have a massive ego, so they like to be admired. They like to be the boss. They like to be acknowledged as the mightiest one. So they don't tolerate red dragons very well. Red dragons just are the boss. Anybody who contests it is annihilated. This is my task. Oh, doing this. This is what I was designed for. Yeah, I suppose so. What's your character class? YouTuber. Who knew? I was just thinking the other day, actually, when I was back in school and the career advisor was telling me what I should do, and they were like, graphic design was biology, graphic design, what shall I do, science or art? Nobody knew. Nobody had any idea that YouTube would exist, that it was even going to be a thing. So there was no career guidance to be becoming a self-employed broadcaster. Greenpeace dragons smoke weed every day. Yeah, absolutely, rabbit and glasses. Actually, in savannas, you would have blue dragons and green dragons would fit. Yep. I remember there's a lot of artwork in the old days with green dragons over savannas, particularly Dragonlance pictures, old Dragon magazine covers. But of course, don't forget that in your campaign you can break the rules. So you can have crossbreeds between different dragon types. So what's a crossbreed between a blue and a red dragon? Brown dragon? Purple dragon? What's a crossbreed between a black and a green dragon? Or a green dragon and a blue dragon, a turquoise dragon. What does a turquoise dragon do? Where does that live? You love the idea of a yellow dragon boneyard in the Plain of Salt. Yeah. Exotic dragons. That's where it's at, man. Level 15 YouTuber? God, no. I'm like a level 2 YouTuber. Then you got, what, PewDiePie. He's a level 20 YouTuber, maybe? The Whiskey Dragon. Yeah, Alehouse Drake. Amber Dragon. Nice. And then, of course, you could have combinations of metallic dragons and chromatic dragons that are crossbred together. Because all chromatic dragons are not evil and all metallic dragons are not good. They may be lawful or chaos or something, but it's not 100%. What happens if you run across a good red dragon? How does its personality express itself as a good character? It's still overbearingly superior, but it's not necessarily evil. You think your ex was a blue dragon? I'm a leatherworker storyteller for a living, so I'm practically an NPC in real life. Nice. Do you have leather covers, leather jacket covers for your D&D books? If you've got a design for that, let me know. Might have a business proposition for you. Leather covers, custom-made leather covers for your D&D books. Take your custom cover jackets and just throw them out the window. No, you need leather covers, my friend. That's the way to go. That's truly plush. That's how you adult D&D. I mean, can you picture having all of your D&D books looking like this? Luxurious. Envy. Envy, that's what you'll have in the game store. Cloth, yeah. Forgotten Realms. Chemical Dragon? Dragon Librarian? Bossy and wise? Yep. For sure. Can you imagine having a fastidious green dragon librarian that manipulates people by giving them excessive late fees? Manipulates people and saying, well, I may possibly have that book available soon. Bit of bribery. This book here, this is the Arcana Note. It's a custom-made DM's binder type thing. You can buy those from Arcane Goods online. They had a Kickstarter, which is where me and my friend Ian, who is on here at the moment, got hold of ours, and it's got my notes from my D&D session in here. Running a Eberron campaign out of this one at the moment. And you can replace these PDF files for printing and replacing all the pages and stuff, and you can pick up extra pages and stuff. It's got all sorts of goodies in there. I've done a video talking about that before. Red Dragon, Black and Red Dragon has Napalm Breath. The Orange Dragon has Napalm Breath. Yellow Dragon's a Napalm. Horrendous. Sexy Dragon. I have ridiculous leatherwork. Dice pouches, book covers, armor, anything. Ooh. So, Jez, get hold of me, man. And I will, if you've got like a storefront and stuff, let me know. Send me an email or put a comment in the video down below. You can message me on, send me a friend request on Facebook. I'm pretty easy to get hold of. Trump Dragon. Red Dragon bank owners, yeah. Sorry, no deposits. Only term investments. What's the term? 1,000 years. Warforged dragon. Yeah, well, the Clockwork Dragon's kind of Warforged, eh? But what if it was alive? The reason I had to place it there was because I needed a reason for kobolds to get swooped by wyverns and hyenas. As for crossbreeds, I had like 3 days to slap them together in an entire fort. Oh, okay. Interesting. Slaanesh Dragon. The Macho Man, Randy Savage Dragon. Ooh, yeah. Ain't nobody got a horde like me. Only the cream rises to the top. We're gonna take over this whole world. Yeah, oh yeah. Copper Dragon Blacksmith. Dragon of Corn. The Laser Dragon. Well, the Radiant Dragon's a Laser Dragon. The Counselor from the Dark Crystal. The Chamberlain? Nice book. Blue Dragons as your bankers. Yeah, Blue Dragons make great bankers. I had a Blue Dragonborn mob boss in Eberron that the players have run afoul of. And Hope Dragon. Oh, evil. Evil! So the Blue Dragon mob boss really didn't do anything wrong. The player characters started this entire thing themselves. Honestly, I just set up game worlds, drop player characters into them, and the player characters get themselves in so much trouble. Pretty much straight away. So it's not my fault. I take no responsibility for it. A white shadow dragon, yeah. Been working on a pink dragon that was a crossbreed between black and reds. Basically, it was a hallucinogen breath mixed with a clinging fire dragon that burns away equipment before igniting. Ooh. Mutated wyverns, yeah. Wow, everybody's just obsessed with different dragon types. A goblin dragon. Yeah, there should be a goblin dragon. Like, the Githyanki have got an association with red dragons. And because of Tiamat. But I like the idea of this, like a battle dragon from the plane of the astral plane in Limbo. Battle dragons are non-chromatic or metallic dragons. And there are a lot of non-split dragon types, particularly from outside of the Prime Material universe, where they just don't conform to the usual rules of metallic and chromatic. Mercury dragons for speed dragon, yep. Yeah, blue dragon's perfect for running a casino or a crime network and things like that. That's exactly what blue dragons would be about. Slime dragon, possible. Is it a dragon though, or is it just a big mimic? A dragon mimic. Shadow Dragonborn Assassin, yeah. Slime Dragon with diseased breath. Orc Dragon. You guys and your gifts. Swarm Dragon. Spawns minions like the Swarm host from StarCraft. Yep. Like how to train your dragon? How to train your dragon? That idea of like dragon patrons. Patrons? Dragon sires? One dragon being responsible for the entire breed of dragons sort of thing. Or Rage of Dragons. What's that one with Matt McConaughey? Where you've got one breeder dragon and all of the rest of them are basically drones. That's also pretty cool. Like the very prospect that the player characters could be responsible for ending an entire line of dragons. Like, how many of you have that sort of thing in your campaign where it's possible to actually to exterminate an entire race of monsters, an entire species, a breed? like the anti-Greenpeace campaign, where you actually extinct things. Because in a campaign, why not? There's absolutely no reason why you can't drastically alter your campaign world in your campaign. Rain of Fire, thank you. That's the one. Beholder Dragon. Yup tub! The Behydron. Pathfinder's got a dragon called a Skin Crawler Dragon. That sounds intriguing. I really don't look into Pathfinder enough. I should. Yeah, well, Yubtub is a Behydron, so he's Beholder Hydra Dragon. Dragons of Tarkir. A tribe of goblin half-dragons. Yeah, Rain of Fire had very logical dragons, and they were, I believe they were wyverns, technically. Also, most of the dragons that you see on TV that they refer to as dragons, and like the dragons of Game of Thrones are wyverns. They're not dragons, per se, because they don't have front legs. It's very important, front legs for a dragon. Here's me doing dragon legs. I mean, it makes sense morphologically that they wouldn't have 6 limbs, but in D&D, dragons have 6 limbs. They don't have 4 limbs. And then you've got Lenorms, which have even less limbs, quite often. Yubtub plus Mindflayer Tadpole. One of the things with Mindflayer Tadpoles that a lot of people need to realize, which is built into the lore of them, is that they can only convert a certain amount of body mass. Otherwise, the tadpole will die in the conversion process. So it's actually very dangerous to combine those tadpoles with anything else. It just doesn't work most of the time. So the select number of humanoid species and occasional non-humanoid species that are converted into illithids is just what the tadpole can handle converting. So they can't convert giants and things like that because the tadpole just doesn't have enough oomph to do it. Which is not me saying you can never do it, because there should be some sort of alchemical unguent or something that could sustain the life of the tadpole, or you could breed super tadpoles that do that sort of thing. Everything's open to experimentation and mutation when mind flayers are involved. But for the most part, there is limitations on what they can convert through cerebromorphosis. Seromorphosis. So it's a process. It's not a magical process, it's a biological process. Solution has the Exodus crystal. Players enacted a ritual that banished all the gods, and that's how Tevail became an elemental world for the rest of my campaigns. Yeah, exactly. We broke Solution. Yeah. So in its natural state, a Mind Flayer tadpole is a natural creature in and of itself. It's a far realm parasite, kind of like the Gua-Uld a little bit. So it has a natural form that it evolves into, a Neolithid, and it's only combining it with other creatures that it converts them and becomes a thing. So they can exist. If the Mind Flayer colony dies and the Elder Brain pool. The Elder Brain dies, for instance, the tadpoles will cannibalize each other, and one of them will grow into a Neolithid sometimes. Not all the time. Usually they'll all just die. Fomorian Mind Flayer, yeah. Why not? Should be rare, obviously. Not the norm. So Neolithids are terrifying. Great big psychic screaming purple worm things. Terrifying. Dragon and Tarrasque have a baby. Yeah, that's very true to me too. So yeah, China's got its own version of dragons. African dragons. Does Africa have dragons? Just trying to think. Can't really think of any African dragons, can you? No tadpole Tarrasque? No, probably not. Tarrasque's just too tough for a tadpole to get a purchase. Could you imagine though if the Mind Flayers somehow inserted a tadpole into the ear of the Tarrasque, and it converted a little bit of the Tarrasque's brain. So it was a Mind Flayer consciousness inside the Tarrasque's head. Didn't convert the entire Tarrasque, just a little bit to direct where the Tarrasque went. But of course, it would be insane. Or if an Elder Brain inserted itself into a Tarrasque. Yeah. Imagine if there are African dragons? Thanks, yeah, look it up for me, man. So imagine if inside they used some sort of portal effect to go inside a Tarrasque, to create a chamber inside the Tarrasque itself, inside its brain, and they made an elder pool and a little colony of Tarrasques, an elithid colony inside the Tarrasque's skull, and somehow managed to direct it to destroy civilizations. So chaos. Like a giant crocodile, yeah. Ever thought of doing a video on Falazur? Yes and no. Not a flying dragon. Oh, I see. Poor creature. Yeah. Yeah. The tadpoles can't infect something with regeneration. Hey, thank you. Hua. What's my favourite low-level monster and why? I've got a couple of favourites. One is the Roper, and the other is kobolds. Absolutely. I love kobolds. I have an abiding love of kobolds. Learn something every day. Absolutely. You should, Colton. It's a good way to stay healthy. Will you do a video on Dark Sun Dragons and their transformation? Yes. Yes, I'd love to. Nice one, Dracos. African dragons are more like snakes, like Lenorms, like serpents. Yeah. Gelatinous cubes. Kobolds are just, you can just use kobolds in so many different ways. And I like the idea of like there's little plucky but arrogant weedlings who band together and toady up to things and lie. Like, how many times in my campaign have I the players have encountered a kobold that seems to be on their side, and it's not. It never is. It hates humanoids, hates them. So they'll toady up. They're like, yes, master, I can do this, I can do that, I can help you, I can direct you through the swamp, I can get you through this pit of the dungeon. And where does it lead you? Straight into gnarly death. Because you should never trust a kobold. Goblins, yeah. Your unconscious, your subconscious is actually an aberrant tadpole. Yeah. Oh, you blame Critical Role for liking goblins? Ah, Fang Dragon, yeah. Too many times, and Red keeps trying. Yeah, that's true. He keeps trying to befriend things, and it gets killed every time. It gets gnarly every time. I mean, yeah, negotiation is certainly one thing in D&D, but things have a reason to hate you. Like, particularly if you have a player who's, for want of a better description, a lawful good person, and they can't imagine that things just unreasonably hate you for nothing. like evil. They're evil, right? They have something missing in their personality, which is called empathy. So, you know, they will kill you for fun. They just don't see you as a human being. They don't see you as an equal. So they won't negotiate with you. No matter how good your dice rolls are, their intention all along was to harm you. Kobolds will do it out of self-preservation and revenge. Kobolds have... R.I.P. Stanley. Kobolds have an ego. They're arrogant. They're dragons. They're little dragons. They do feel like they are superior to humanoids. They're just kind of weak. See you later, Stantscape. So, and goblins, of course, well, goblins are just designed to hate humanoids. They're survivors. They're sniveling, wretched, thieving, backstabbing little horrors that are raised in domestic violence. Pun pun. Yeah. Don't go to work, stay here. Unfortunately, people need to work. See you, Daniel. By law, the Trask is technically a dragon, or was rather. Well, by legend, the Trask is a giant turtle. Sort of. It's French. You can relate to people hating unreasonably. Yeah. Work offend Slanesh. Goblin dragon is the best dragon. What would a goblin dragon be like? I'm figuring like a pot-bellied, snivelling toady who lords it over goblins. Don't forget though, goblins don't exist in a vacuum, and neither do kobolds. Kobolds can exist independently of anything else, but they generally don't like to. They like to associate with dragons. They stick with their own kind. The Trask is Godzilla, yeah. Well, it's more like Godzilla now than it ever was. It's far removed from its original incarnation. Because if you're following the lore of the Trask, then it would be tamed by the Christian spirit and then killed by the townsfolk. You know, that's what happened with... that's what happened when persuasion worked on the Trask in the legend. It's like, hey man, stop being a monster, be our friend. Okay, I'll go to the human village with you. Human villagers kill it with arrows. Why did you do that? Because it's a monster. It's like, no, it was tame. It's like, well, did you put a collar on it? A goblin dragon would be a kobold. Shit. Okay, good point. Good point, very good point. Dragon Grandy. Oh no. Well, let's see what version of a Crandy you make, Ian. A little baby Crandy. Crandoid. Were dragons. The world is a turtle. That'll make the flat earthers happy. I mean, why not? I got a chip on my shoulder about flat earthers this month, thanks to interacting with one of them, getting inside his head, figuring out what makes him tick. Yeah, they went from dog-like. I mean, orcs went from pig-like to more Lord of the Rings humanoid. But the original orcs of Forgotten Realms, for instance, are far more pig-like, and the Greyhawk orcs are far more pig-like, snouted. Dragon Slayer, oh yeah. The thing I like about Dragon Slayer is you really don't realise how cool the dragon is until like most of the way through the movie. They really tease you quite a bit. Like a lot of the low budget movies back in the day would just have like a claw of the dragon that comes out sort of cartoonishly and nabs somebody, or they'd have a tail of the dragon that appears on camera, but they never actually show the entire dragon. Dragon Slayer, they do. Like first they tease you with just like a claw and the breath and stuff like that, and then the full dragon shows up and it's awesome. and they have a full-on dragon versus wizard fight, which is just fantastic. And the wizard's standing on the mountain and manipulating the weather and like clearing the clouds away so he can see the dragon, where the dragon's coming from. Perfect. So D&D. Do you guys in your campaigns have instances where the low-level characters see high-level stuff going on? Or do you keep it really off-camera until they're at that level themselves? Like, do you edit out high-level stuff in your campaign world, or is it just out of touch and out of reach of low-level characters? But do they see it on the horizon? Like, how much of your D&D world is an active game where high-level things are going on, even while the low-level characters are scrabbling around and doing stuff? Where can you see Dragon Slayer? It's an old movie. It's an old Disney movie called Dragon Slayer. You shall not pass! Flame of Orun! Your dark fire will not avail you! Fantastic scene. Netflix, yeah. The world is a tesseract. Now is the perfect time for D&T type movies. Yeah, that's true. Like, I don't really want to give a lot of time to the Flat Earthers, Jason, but they think about it quite a lot. It's just that they have they've got a set group of things that they fixate on to the exclusion of all else. Like, they're of a mentality of, I've observed this one thing, it conflicts with what this one thing, this one aspect says, so therefore everything must be wrong. And they just won't accept anything that they can't see with their own eyes, sort of thing. It's like, I'm no fool. It's like, yeah, but you're gullible. You're gullible. Because they'll swear black and blue that they're not fools. It's like, really? It's like, what about plate tectonics? What about the magnetic field? What about the fact that the North Pole has shifted? What about the fact that people have circumnavigated the pole or walked around the pole? What about the fact that I live on the other side of the world and it's a different season now? It's daylight here and it's darkness there. There's 1,001 things, and then they'll say, yeah, but you can't calculate the horizon, there's a flat ocean. It's like, yeah, but there's 1,000 and other things that you have to disprove before even one thing that I'm saying is wrong. You can't fixate on one thing and ignore everything else. So really what it comes down to is a martyr complex. They want to feel like they know a secret and they're superior to everybody else, and the more you harp on them for being idiots, the better they feel. It's a psychological condition more than anything. It's not logical. Yeah, they're conspiracy theorists, obviously. They have to be. They're either biblical, in which case the Bible is literally real and the earth is flat and it was created and stuff, so they don't believe in evolution, they don't believe in geological timescale, they don't believe in so much stuff. It's like, you have to disprove everything else. That's the thing. It's crazy. It's crazy. But you get into these conversations with, and that's where they want you. They want you to get into a conversation with them, and they'll hammer you with the same thing over and over again to the point where you insult them, and then that proves them right, that they're superior and everybody's deluded and hateful, and you've just played into their scheme. So when you argue with them, what you're actually doing is you're enabling their psychological condition, which is the martyr syndrome. So what you do is you say, okay, I'll look into it, and leave it at that. Don't even engage. Or just say, okay, you're free to believe what you want. You know, good luck to you. Just don't engage. Let them come to their own conclusions. That's what they want to do in the first place. You can't tell them what is true or not. You can't tell them. And yeah, you just got to walk away. Exactly. yeah, you can argue. You can say, look, why don't radars work at low level altitude? Why can't you have a tower and shine a laser from your place to mine? Because I'm on the other side of the world. No amount of laser light will ever reach me from where you are. You can ask. You can say these things, and then they will just ignore that, and they'll point at one other little thing. It's ridiculous. I'm going to show that comment. That was hilarious. Yeah, the GIFs are awesome. Oh yeah, I think eventually all of the Dristuid novels will be made into a Netflix series or a movie or something like that. I can guarantee it. I can guarantee those will be made into a movie at some stage. Mark my words. Yeah. See, it's a smokescreen, Marv. Anyway, enough about the flat earthers. We've devoted too much time to them already. There's like 800 of them that went to a conference, a world conference of flat earthers. So they're a tiny minority. Tiny. They do. And they piss everybody off in their life. They annoy everyone in their life. And they're like, why does everybody harass me? It's like, you know why they do. You know why they do, and you're doing it on purpose. Because it makes you feel good. It makes you feel it's a masochistic impulse. It's like cutting yourself, you know, it's a psychological thing. What's Salvatore? R.A. Salvatore, creator of Just Erdin, Cadbury, Bruno Battlehammer, Cadley, the Boulder Shoulder Brothers, Guinevere, Twinkle and Icing Death, Solid Sun theorists. I've never even heard of that. People who think the sun is a solid ball of iron. Good grief, really? Well, Cadley and Danica, their storyline continued. Cadley came to a sticky but very noble and heroic end. Actually, he's essentially imprisoned an evil entity by sacrificing his eternal soul, as is his way. Heretics. Yeah, exactly, Timmy too. I'm agnostic, so I don't know anything for sure, but the flat earth? No. Oh, you had all... Yeah, I've just recently acquired all of the... Well, most of the Dritz books. Nurgle is okay. Nurgle is not okay. They are really good to read. Say what you want. I mean, I don't agree with the fact that they had to build the Beastmaster into 5th edition just so people could play a Drizzt Do'Urden knockoff. He doesn't have a beast. He doesn't have an animal companion. He's got a magical item slave, Guinevere. He's got an astral beast, and he breaks the rules in those books chronically all the time. Oh, nice! You've even got the United Nations little flat Earth thing. Nice. So yeah, R.A. Salvatore breaks the rules of D&D in his novels, where I think it's in the first book where Drizzt shows up. The first published book. What he did is Drizzt grabbed hold of Guinevere. No, not Drizzt. The Halfling. Just read this book. What's the Halfling's name again? The Halfling's gem. So the halfling grabs hold of Guinevere and transitions over to the astral plane with Guinevere and hangs out in the astral plane and then comes back again with Guinevere later on. Which is completely not what happens when a Regis, thank you. Yeah, Regis. So Regis grabs hold of Guinevere and transitions over to the astral plane when Guinevere turns back into a figurine of wondrous power. And then Drizzt comes along later on, retrieves the figurine of wondrous power, and pulls them back both over from the astral plane again. And as a DM, I'd like throw my book in the air and say, okay, like anything is possible. But, so that's an instance of, did that become canonical in the rules? No, it did not. So it happened in the story, but it doesn't necessarily happen all the time. So there's, yeah, that's the point where story becomes legendary. Guinevere is not just your average figurine of wondrous power, obviously. Or what is the ecology of astral beasts? How dare he burn the heretic after he's done writing books? Yeah. Pikel? No. Salvatore offends. He's perfectly within his rights to do so. Like I say, always make D&D your own, you know? It fit the story perfectly fine. Yeah, Driss is the drow that made the good drow fighter ranger rogue. Your favourite ranger is Evelyn the Justicar. His beast is Cinders. Oh, Psychic Warriors. Well, so 3rd edition 3.5, I played a lot of Psychic characters. I played a Scion for a while. And I played Psychic Warrior, Haito Water Walker, various others, Janazi and things. And Psychic stuff was okay. Psychic stuff has always been a little bit unbalanced in D&D. I don't know if there's ever been a totally on par, like not breakable Psychic character class in D&D, really. Has there been? Of course, 4th edition, they just leveled the playing field for everything, so Psychic just became a keyword, which I think is a good way of handling it. So you just handle it like magic, is the best way of doing it. Because a lot of stuff, and a lot of spells and things, particularly clairvoyance and message and all that sort of stuff, those are psychic effects, really. Psionics is weird. It doesn't have to be weird. You could just say it's magic. You guys talking about Warhammer 40k in the background. It's hilarious. Screenplay. Good. You should all be writing screenplays. Netflix is going to be wanting those. Yeah, well, sorcerers, like warlocks and sorcerers and monks, because monks, they're like physical psychics, using their ki. Sorcerers with their sorcery points, they're channeling something, and it's really about their ability to withstand the power which is going through them. Wizards have a lot of, like, the focus on their intelligence is that they have to keep a lot of things going in their head at the same time. So they have the ability to calculate and manipulate things in their brain. So the idea behind wizards and D&D is that they're constantly casting spells, but they just haven't put the last bit into place yet. And casting the spells is finishing the process. So when they prepare and when they're studying their spell book, they're beginning the ritual of all these spells. These spells are ready to go. So the question is, at the end of the day, when the wizard hasn't cast a spell all day, what's the process of just like relaxing? Is the wizard actually capable of not having that sort of mental activity? I mean, if I was playing a wizard realistically, they'd be like constantly snorting cocaine and drinking copious amounts of coffee, and they'd be obsessed with like no dose. I'm like, man, they'd be obsessed, like addicted to magic, addicted to thinking. And yeah, they're geniuses, and geniuses quite often in real life have like mental quirks, shall we say. So how eccentric do you play your wizard? Or do they sort of keep it under control? Who would I cast as Drizzt? Boy, who would make a good Drizzt? First of all, they've got to be pretty athletic. They've got pretty fine features. I'd say back in the day, back in his youth, Julian Sands would probably make a pretty good Drizzt with that refined accent. I sort of picture him having an English with a little bit of a lilt to it, like a little bit of a Romanesque lilt to it, perhaps. Pretend you haven't made a video for 5 days, no research, no writing. That's what wizards are like all the time. Yeah, exactly. I would be antsy. I'd be like, I would cut somebody if I hadn't made a video for 5 days. I'd be like, I've got to get back to it, man. I'm literally bursting with ideas. Ah! That's what it's like being a YouTuber. It's just like I gotta write a script. I've got to get back to it. I've got to make another video. That's why I tell people I'm never going to burn out, because I can't stop doing this now. It's too late for me. Save yourself. Wesley Snipes would be a cool Drizzt? Possibly. I think we should make room for the next generation of actors. So who's an up and coming actor who would fit the role of Drizzt pretty well? Donnie Yen. Sure. YouTube junkie, yeah. Morgan Freeman as Drizzt? So a CGI Drizzt is what you're saying. Idris Elba? Nah. He's too big. Drizzt is fairly short and athletic. Like he's under 6 foot tall. He's like 5'8", 5'9", something like that. It's pretty big for a drow, actually. Drow females are generally taller than drow males. New actors are terrible. Well, you got to give them credit. You know, that's a bit of a generalization. There are plenty of good actors. You just haven't seen them. The chicken guy from Breaking Bad with blue tint makeup. Think of Bruce Lee build. Yeah, exactly. Bruce Lee in a leather outfit. Oh, the guy who plays the Scarlet Witch's brother, Quicksilver, in the Avengers movies. Not the X-Men movies, the Avengers movies. The guy who played Kick-Ass. What do you reckon? He'd make a pretty good Drizzt, I reckon. Yeah, Drow, 5'8" would be reasonably tall for a Drow. That'd be on the tall side of a Drow. That'd be like robust Drow. Artemis Entreri was real lean and muscular. Dustin Hoffman. He'd probably give it a go. But no. Dustin Hoffman's career is over. Hey Bryce, I'm good. It's almost time for me to get going, everybody. They're the same person, yes. Absolutely the same person. You're talking about the kick-ass Quicksilver guy? Yeah. Natalie Portman is Drizzt? Yeah. Let's gender bend it. She could play a dude. Cumberbatch, no. Benedict Cumberbatch is Doctor Strange. He's typecast. Drow female are larger than drow males. Yes, we know. Matt Damon. Yeah, Matt Damon can play anything. Sure. Tony Stark. Robert Downey Jr. Yeah, Lord of the Rings elves are not the same as D&D elves. Diversity. Do you think people would call that whitewashing? Possibly. Elf washing. Yeah. I mean, it's perfectly reasonable to have any particular race of people to play a fictitious race. Am I wrong? Mark Wahlberg. Can't see Mark Wahlberg playing a drow. Samuel L. Jackson. Say hello to my cat, motherfuckers. And 215 episodes down for the ecology playlist. Yeah, there's a lot. 250, over 250 monster ecology videos. Team America, Matt Damon. Matt Damon. A CGI Dustin Hoffman. Yeah, still not. Drow black or blue? Black. Coal black. Not like tanned black. This is not melanin black. They don't get that way because they're adapting to the sun. Me? Too old for that shit. I'd love to see my stunt double. AJ for Elminster. How about AJ for Morton Kanan? See a resemblance? Ewan McGregor. The Real House Elves of Hollywood. The Real House Elves of Waterdeep. $250 is still less than 9,000. Do better. There's probably about 9,000 monsters that I could cover. 200. What a nerd! Nerds! It's true. Colin Selman. He played Judi Dench's M assistant a couple of Bond films. Oh, yeah? Eggsy from Kingsman. Ryan Reynolds. Johnny Depp. Ugh. Johnny Depp's played out, man. So played out. Ryan Reynolds. Could Ryan Reynolds play Drizzt? Yes. He could play a serious role like that. For sure. He's got the right sort of build for it. Yeah. Because Drizzt is really broody. And I'd like to see Ryan Reynolds play a role where he's just like full on aggro. Because Drizzt he's got a bit of the mongrel in him, should we say? That's what we say in New Zealand. He likes to fight. There's particularly in his first appearance where he's training Wolfgar, and they take on some giants. And Wolfgar's like he comes to the realization that Drizzt is extremely disciplined and he's an extremely experienced fighter, but also he realizes that at some point Drizzt is going to get him killed, and he accepts that. He's like, my friend Drizzt has got an element to him which is self-destructive, and he will destroy me in the process. He's going to take on something that will kill him. And I like that, because I could see Ryan Reynolds playing that sort of character. Like, he's really disciplined and really thoughtful and really introspective and stuff, but at a certain point, the Verbeeg, yeah, at some point, he goes battle crazy. He gets bloodlust. And there's a little bit of him which is like, let's do it. Let's do it. Like, let's be legends. Let's take on far more than we should. Karl Urban, yep, also a good option. Karl Urban could play Artemis Entreri for sure, because he has played those sort of roles where he's a merciless bastard. He played Judge Dredd. Anybody that played Judge Dredd could play Artemis Entreri. He's a sadistic individual for sure, unfeeling, totally devoted to his career, so to speak. What custom monster would I like to make for the ultimate boss? Yup-Tub. Henry Cavill, yeah. He has a level of barbarian in some stats, really. Yeah, he is. He's not hugely tall, but he's not like a midget. I'm still in the process of reading all the old novels. Adrian Brody for a young Elminster. Was Elminster ever young? Boy, that was a long time ago in the story. Yeah, he's a very good skirmisher, for sure. Yup-Tub. Yeah. Yup-Tub. I've got a little printout of Yup-Tub. Charlie Sheen. Is he still alive? I can see Charlie Sheen passing away at some point and everybody just going, oh yeah. Charlie Sheen has the mummy rot, yeah. Charlie Sheen's like, well, if Robert Downey Jr. can come back from atrocious drug use. No, Charlie Sheen, you cannot do that. No, I haven't figured out Yup-Tub's stats yet. It's on my to-do list. Charlie Sheen is very undead. Melf himself. Ooh. I like Melf. Maldrow, Fighter 10, Barbarian 1, Ranger 5 of Maliki. From Wizards of the Coast side. Really? Anyway, time for me to go, folks. It has been fantastic hanging out with you today. We've covered all of the topics, including a very large list of dragons. We've rolled randomly on tables. It's been a good day so far. I hope you all have a fantastic evening. You get a good night's sleep. Ready for lots of for gaming and YouTubing on the coming week. Countdown for Christmas is coming. Don't forget, merch store. The Mighty Glue Stick merch store is open for business. Buy some for your friends. Going already? Dude, it's been like 2 hours. We're 15 minutes off 2 hours. Have a great day, everyone. I know, time flies on these streams, doesn't it?